Hello, my name is Rick Houston, and welcome to the Scene Vault Podcast, your source for all things NASCAR history. Presented by Las Vegas Motor Speedway, America's racing showplace.
That was awful for every type of reason you could think of. For one, all the Wolves knew, okay, he's wounded, he's hurt. We finally got a sponsor that was interested. We talked to them, got on the racetrack. They were going, I think they was going to give like $400,000 or $500,000, and that was going to get us through the year. And I was going to start the whole next season or whatever. And he bought two used car lots with the money. I was like, I'm done. I'm thinking the worst. Well, come to find out, when I hit, it knocked my helmet over, so it was like this, and all the warm stuff was snot and spit on my side of my face. So I took my glove off, and I was.
That's not funny, man.
Yeah. Believe it or not, there is a life without racing.
Today, NASCAR and all of us associated in any way with NASCAR forget its past. That's the day we don't have any future.
Next year, you did go cup racing with Cal.
Yeah, well, I spent it was half a year in Xfinity, and then the Renzi brother, and then not Ed, he didn't, but what was the brother? Sam fired me.
Sam fired you?
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, I was already driving some of James Finch's. I was driving some of his races or whatever. Yeah. And, why wouldn't I? Because you get all the practice. Because that's what I've always complained about the Cup guys being in the Xfinity side was, first of all, they get almost 7 hours worth of practice. They get all this track time. All it's going to do is help us. And on top of it, I'm getting 50% of what the Cup car is. So we're in there making a killing off this thing. You're making $50, $60,000 a race. So I kept running it, and we were kind of sharing information back and forth, and it really started helping because they could scan me during practice and start changing the Busch car for the Cup for the race. And for some reason, he didn't like me. He said, I hired you to drive this 25 car, not for you to drive the 09. I was like, if you don't want me to, fine. Yeah. But when it falls off and things kind of slow back down, because we were kind of off, you need to tell them that you want me to stop. Then we go to Michigan, and I'm running third or fourth all day long, racing with Mark Martin. That's how good our car was. Yeah. And under pit road, they have one of these cars that do this and spin, so I stop. And I want to say Ashton Lewis drills me in the back. Well, it knocks the pan out from the back. Well, you can't drive them. You can't drive them because it's letting all the air and everything, so it's messing up the whole air. So I ended up finishing like 25th, and I got a call, and I was at my shop, and I seen it, and it said Sam Renzi, and I told her brother, I said, watch, I get fired here today. And he's like, what? Hands it up, and that's what he said. He's like, hey, we were talking about it. We kind of feel like you gave up on us, and realized like I couldn't drive the car. I said, Harold's already talked to Jeff Green. Jeff Green said, you knock that panel out, you can't drive them cars. He's like, well, anyway, just go enjoy your 09 car, but we got to let you go. See you. And hung up. So I texted him. I'm like, well, just make sure you send the rest of my money that you owe me. So I never get anything back or whatever. So then I was done. So then I started running the 09, kind of tinkering with the 32 car, started doing some testing or whatever, and kind of idled alone. And then Kyle approached me, I think it was at New Hampshire, about driving it because they was good, which was weird because they just signed Ricky to like a 5-year deal. Yeah. And it's like literally 6 months prior to that, you just signed him to a 5-year deal and you're going to fire him? Yeah. So I was kind of eerie anyway. I was like, yeah. But at the same time, I asked my dad, and he was like, you got to go. He said, if anything, you got to go to make the money, period.
Yeah. Not long after that, Harold joined you, didn't he?
Yeah, well, that was one of the things because he's seen what happened, and he's seen everything that was going over with the Renzi side, and he was just like, I need to make a change too. And that was my deal for going over to 32 car was to get him. So
from the outside looking in, cold hard numbers, it would seem to be that was a struggle with that deal. What was it like on the inside?
Yeah, well, it's like I was telling y'all before. It was like a movie. You walk in, you're thinking everything you need is here. And then when you're involved in it, it was really kind of brought me back to some of the ARCA days of, what are y'all doing? You know, they kind of put handcuffs on Harold. They wouldn't let him change a whole lot of stuff. It was that ain't how we do things here. And Harold's like, what do you mean? You can't go off what you're doing things around here. Look how horrible you're running. We won Martinsville. Yeah, when the top 3 got wrecked out, you just happened to be there. And then you won Darlington, and everybody knows how you won Darlington. Everybody knows you had that shit plugged in your stuff. Everybody knows that. It's not a rocket. Everybody knows it. Yeah. So it's not like y'all were dominating races. So then it got to the point where it was like, what are we doing? So they let him build one car. Went to Richmond, we finished 11th. I think we went somewhere else and we finished something. Then we got on the Childress deal, which I love RC, but he's strictly business. He has an A, B, and C program. And Kyle Wells got us on the C program. We missed Charlotte. And I went to the shop because I was like, I've seen this before, dealing with all these little teams. They're going to be pointing the fingers at me or whatever. And we had data back then. And I outran the 11 through the corners almost by 2/10. I missed a race by 3/10. 3.5. 3.5 tenths or something like that. They dynoed the motor, and it was 62 horsepower off from the 11 because we were all the same dyno. So I called Childress myself. I was like, hey, I'm just kind of curious. What is this C program? He's like, it's basically what the ARCA program is with, I'm like, so I called Kyle Wells. He's like, what's what we can afford? I was like, here we go, which made sense because Richmond, all those places you really can't use a throttle.
Yeah.
We were really fast, but those big places where you needed the throttle, where you needed all that steam, we didn't have it. And it was just, there's no money. Everybody thought there was a ton of money there, and there wasn't.
Yeah. You were dealing with all that in 04, 05, and at the same time, your dad was winning the truck championship in 04. How much fun was he having with that deal?
That was, and a lot of people don't know this, but that was his highlight. The minute he won the championship, and you can ask her, he was ready to sell. He was trying to get Brandon going to buy it all, was he not? He would have Brandon up there, and of course, I was in the meetings or whatever, and he was like, just buy all this stuff, whatever. I even show you the shop and all that stuff, and Brandon's like, I'm ready to get out of it. I'm ready to get out of it. He's like, I'm going to run 2 or 3 years in Cup, and I'm done. He said, because my dad's wanting me to do more stuff at the casino, stuff like that. So he was really trying. Once he won that championship, it was almost like, whew, I'm good.
Really?
Yeah. It was a night and day. During the championship season, he was a machine. You could not throw him off his game. You could not say anything that was going to mess him up. They would be like, Dennis Setzer's good. He's like, I'm going to kick his ass so bad. You could not throw him off his game, and it showed. Yeah. But the minute he won that championship, and also, too, I think a lot of it, he learned a lot in that sport because in that one series of time, because that's what he said, it's the worst thing I ever did was win the championship because now the sponsors were like, whew, all right, we won championship. Now let's spread this. Let's go to golf now. We don't compete in NASCAR. We're good in NASCAR now. Let's go to golf.
Yeah. Let's
go do this. So all of his sponsors were kind of cutting trail. And it was harder to find stuff. And then when we got the Fastenal deal, it was like a quarter of the money compared to what Square D was. So he was living on pennies, trying to do what he was doing and so forth. And then everybody thinks this is no lie. Winning all the races he won, winning the championship, getting the purse from NASCAR and everything, he cleared that year $190 some odd $1,000. That was it.
Really?
Yeah, that's how much he put in to winning that championship. And then I think he was just like, okay, I won my championship. I won my races. I've done stuff that nobody ever said I couldn't do. Now, let's sell it all, sit back with the money. And I think that's where, because as soon as he won that championship, he was ready to get out.
Why didn't he?
There was never a buyer.
Okay.
There was buyers, but there wasn't no buyers. There was no serious buyers.
Right.
It was like, I'm selling you a championship team. I'm not taking $1 million. I want to sell you building and all. And there was no buyers. So he just kind of got stuck with it.
Bobby, I almost hate to ask this question, but March 2006, your dad got some really bad news. Mm-hmm. And you wound up in his truck. Mm-hmm. you weren't just driving for his team, you were driving for him. What was that year like?
That was awful for every type of reason you could think of. For one, all the wolves knew, okay, he's wounded, he's hurt. So all the wolves that were trying to figure out how to make money off this and make money off of him and how we got to keep this going because it's going to affect our pockets were there. I went from making $600,000 salary and then 50% of the car from a cup car to making $175,000 period driving a truck because he needed me.
Yeah.
And nobody would drive for him. He was trying to get Schrader. Schrader couldn't drive for the next couple because he had other commitments or whatever. So, but it was awful from every side because he was there, but he really wasn't there. And there would be, we would go 2 or 3 weeks. He wouldn't even be at the shop because of the chemo and stuff like that. So they took the conference room and basically made it like a giant living room for he could be there. But he just wasn't feeling good. He wasn't, he would go out. He would still see stuff. But, I mean, the man's fighting for his life. And you think he's out there worrying about shocks and springs that's going on. Dodge is already kind of backed up. They're trying to get out of the truck series. I mean, it's really a struggle for everybody. So it was awful from day one to the end.
Yeah. 07 and 08, you ran your first. 07 and 08, you ran your last couple of full-time seasons in, I guess, first year was Busch and then Nationwide. Was racing the same without your dad around?
No, and I didn't want to be a part of it. And I blame a lot of our stuff, how we ran, because I went back to Renzi's.
Yeah.
I think after and I don't mind saying this because it's true, after they shit-canned Sam, they got him out of there, and it turned it back around when Ed was back involved. I wanted to be a part of it, but I blame a lot of it on me because it got to the point I didn't want to go because that was always something that we did.
Yeah.
And once I got to the and then it was more like I would get on the airplane and not even care about what happened or whatever. I would be like, how much money did we make? It was a totally different job. It was a job then.
Yeah.
Because I was already looking, it's time to get out. I want out. And nobody could, I think at that time Hendrick could have been like, hey, you want to drive the 24 car? I'm like, no. We're going to pay you this? Oh, okay, I'll do it for that. There was no kill no more. There was no, I just want to beat you.
Yeah.
Because when I was winning all the races and doing so forth, whatever, I couldn't tell you what we made that day. I couldn't tell you what the races paid. I couldn't tell you. I can tell you what the trophies looked like. I could tell you stuff like that was important to me. But after he was gone, it was, how much you paying me? What are we doing with this? I want my cut of that. I want a third. It was business then.
Yeah.
So, and then I don't think you can be in business in that sport. I think you can now because it's totally different sport. But then you couldn't be in business and be a successful race car driver. There's only a couple that could. It was Earnhardt and Gordon and those guys because they could separate it. But everybody else, you had to love it. You had to love it and didn't care. As long as you can just pay your bills, make a living, that's all you cared about.
At what point did you decide to walk away from that level of racing? Was there one set moment where you said, okay, that's it?
Yeah.
Or did it just develop?
Yeah, when it happened, like the last race with the Renzis or whatever, I got a couple of phone calls to drive some of the back marker things. Yeah. And I did enjoy that for a minute because you made a difference. Now, in all fairness to these guys, they would get him in here who ran an ARCA race back in 1972. Then he won a school bus championship. They put him in this because he could pay the tire bill.
Yeah.
Well, they would put me in these cars, and with my experience, I could make a huge difference. And they would go from a 25th place team to a 12th, 13th, 14th, and if they didn't screw it up on pit road and stuff like that. Yeah. So I enjoyed that because then it was all of a sudden, it was that new kill as far as I can get you here. I can get you back where you need to be. But then dealing with some of those owners, we worked, there was one, I don't remember the dude's name, it was an 81 car. I busted my butt. I I went and begged for favors, begged for shock. I mean, stuff I typically never even did because it was like we're getting there. We're getting there. I mean, like there's people moving out of my way when they see me coming like it used to be. I'm like, we're there. And we finally got a sponsor that was interested. We talked to them, got on the racetrack. I think they was going to give like $400,000 or $500,000. And that was going to get us through the year. And I was going to start the whole next season or whatever. And he bought 2 used car lots with the money. I was like, I'm done. When I knew I was done, like when I knew 100% I was done, like I'm not climbing in shit no more. I was at an ARCA race in Michigan, and I blew a right front tire going into one, and they had an in-car camera and had all that telemetry stuff, and it was like 192 mile an hour. I hit in one so hard. Not trying to bring up old stuff, but back in the day when it come to some of the accidents we were having in racing, they had a real problem about the forces that the drivers were taking. It was blowing fingers out. It was blowing bits and pieces of your face out. I hit this wall so hard, and all of a sudden, this whole side of my face is black, and I feel all this warm. And my hands are numb because I guess where I hit, my elbows hit the seat. I can't feel anything. And I'm trying to raise my head, and I'm literally seeing stars. When people say they're seeing stars, for real, I'm sitting here trying to gather my thought, but I feel all this, and I feel it running down my face. And I'm thinking, am I dead? But I hear cars going by because I'm just kind of like tapping up against the wall or whatever, and I'm like, okay, I'm looking around, I'm looking around. I'm thinking, oh my God, I can't see. So I'm thinking the worst. I done knocked my eyeball out. I'm thinking the worst. Well, come to find out, when I hit, it knocked my helmet over. So it was like this. And all the warm stuff was snot and spit on my side of my face. So I took my glove off, and I was...
That's not funny, man.
Yeah. Hey, I ran my hand down my face. I was like, oh, that's spit. And I moved my helmet, and I'm like, oh, I can see. So I come back down pit road.
Now, was this a full face or?
No, it was a full face.
Okay.
It was a full face.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like it was my helmet. It fit me.
Yeah.
But like they're like this. Full face helmets are like this.
Yeah.
So what happened was it did this. So all this was black because of the helmet.
Now, did you have a Hans or anything on?
Yeah. Was that there? Yeah, I think I did.
Yeah.
That's how hard I hit. When I got out of that race car, of course, I didn't want to go the infield. I didn't want to do none of that because I actually thought something was wrong, like here, because I wasn't feeling good. I want to get out of here, so I told the guy that I'm cutting out. We got a long ride. It was Michigan, and we drove. And I've got my people with me, and I'm in the back. And there was never a moment more certain I'm not doing that no more. Never a moment. I always thought I was always dumb as far as I got to learn 3 or 4 times. It took one time.
Yeah.
And I've never hit anything like that before in my life so hard. And it scared me. Yeah. I literally was thinking, how's my daughter going to hug me with no eyeball, I literally thought it blew my face out.
Yeah.
Everything I could think of is like, I don't want to do this. There's nothing, no amount of money. And I didn't. Was
that the last time you ran a car?
Yeah, I think I ran one more as a short track, but that was it.
Really?
Yep. That was it. And actually we ran great to short track. We were flying. We could have won that race.
ARCA race?
Yeah, ARCA race. We could have easily won that race. It just didn't work out, pit road stuff.
Yeah.
But after that, I didn't even want to be there when we were there.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be there, period. I didn't want to be there because I knew short tracks really wasn't going to hurt that bad or whatever, but you could have paid me $12 million to go back to Michigan. I'm like, hell no. I don't even go to Michigan on iRacing now. So, it is, no. You asked for the moment that I knew I was done. Michigan was it, but I fulfilled my deal with this guy that I was going to run the 2, and that was it.
Wow. I think I already know the answer to this next question, you saying all that. Did you miss driving once you got out of the seat? Was it a hard adjustment not to be in the seat anymore?
I missed the sport of it.
Yeah.
Like I stay away from. I've only been here I think once in the last 2 or 3 years. I come up here and watched. My daughter was dating one of the guys that was racing when I came up here. but I do miss it. Like, I don't come around. I don't go to the races no more because I know what I want to do.
Yeah.
You know, I had a guy let me drive his legend cars up here. I think it was like, a few years ago, and we won like 4 or 5. I had the time of my life. I mean, I would go home and like, everybody, let's go eat, all on me. Now, we only won $25, but I had the time of my life. And I got those trophies up there doing out with all my good trophies because I had the time of my life.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't come around, I don't do things up here because I know what I'll do. I'll go turn around and go spend $50,000, $60,000 on a late model, start getting a crew, start working around the shop, and I don't want to do that. I do, but I don't want to do that.
Right.
It's past.
How are you spending most of your time these days?
Man, I do a lot for the school. I do. I coach baseball.
What, the school?
Yeah, the middle school, Greenbrier Middle School.
Okay.
I coach baseball, and I'm big into their booster stuff where we try to raise money for all the sports stuff. Believe it or not, there is a life without racing. I didn't think there was.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't think there is, but there is. And the baseball thing kind of brings back the childhood, you know. And it's like, to me, it's almost like trying to build a successful race team because you're trying to find the best coaches you can for every situation. And, you know, and it's, you don't get to perform, but your work does. Yeah. So you can see something that a kid did and you're like, that's it. And you taught him. So that's about my thing now. We'll go to the batting cages and we practice and we coaching ball. I mean that's that's it. You know, we have rental property. We've make our living doing that stuff, and that's easy. But as far as the hobbies and stuff like that, I like to do the iRacing stuff because that does kind of give me that feel.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm involved with a league that's you get paid, you win championship, you get a big old ring and stuff. I mean, we try to make it as real as possible.
Now, what's your setup like? Is it this great big rig, or actually, you just got a little steering wheel?
I took and made me one
table
that looks just like the inside of my car.
Really?
And it's all out of wood. I got the racing seat, but it's all tuckered down. Yeah. I got my steering wheel up here, my pedals way back. I got like all the switches and everything, and I got the big old wide. I think it's the 48 screen curved.
Yeah.
So I got all that stuff, and I got but I do got the expensive steering wheel and pedals and all that type stuff. But I made it just like I sat in my car, because in our league we'll do 3/4 of the length. So if it's 188 laps for real, we'll do 3/4 of that. So I always looked at being, I want to be comfortable, but that's my racing fix. Yeah. And it doesn't cost anything when I flip over. I ain't gonna worry about losing my face if I hit the fence. I got, none of that stuff. I mean, and that's the fun stuff. But then on a daily basis, I mean, it's really just chilling at home. Yeah. All my life, and this is what people don't understand. Now, we have a condo in Florida. She'll go a lot. Her and Haley will go a lot. But that's not me. And everybody's like, I can't believe you don't want to go to Florida. I'm like, dude, ever since 1991, we've been on the road. Yeah. We've been traveling, we've been racing and everything, never on vacations. You didn't go to Atlanta to go see something cool. You went to the racetrack, and you were there living in and out of motels, living out of buses, out of airplanes. Now, actually, my vacation is when they all go and the house is empty. It's just me and the dogs. That's my vacation. So, we can go there anytime we want. The last time I went up there, I had to replace the trim and some of the floor stuff. I went up there because I had to work, but as soon as I got done, I was coming home. Yeah. So, I basically spent a lot of my time at home because for so many years I couldn't. And then, of course, the ball stuff. And then you get a break from that. Like we're on a break now for another 3 or 4 months. But that's my life now.
Bobby, I'm just going to tell you, when you and I were together in the Busch Series, you didn't talk a lot.
Right.
You didn't seem to be comfortable in the spotlight or with the media or whatever. And you could talk, obviously. Right. You had a job to do and you could do it. You've talked more today than I've ever heard you before. And we've known each other a long time.
Right.
Haven't seen each other in a long time, but we've known each other a long time.
Right.
You seem to be comfortable. You seem to be a completely different person.
Yeah.
Is that just the difference between the pressure cooker of NASCAR and being at home? Or is that the real you?
No, this is me. And,
Yeah.
and the difference is I don't have to be careful what I say.
Yeah.
For so long, it was like, well, like I told you, as soon as we got here, be personal. And I was like, wait, mama, I was like, don't be bringing all that crap back up. And I even agree to do this is because, well, if you don't like it, don't play it.
Yeah.
I can be me. You can ask me anything about NASCAR right now, and there's no sugarcoating. I would tell you what's wrong with it. I would tell you what I think about each driver, here, this or that, because I don't care. Yeah. What are you going to do, cancel me? Leave me alone anyway. You know what I mean? I would. So it's being me, and I can be me, but also too growth.
Yeah.
I think when you're in that sport, and even still today, I don't like talking about any of that racing stuff. Not that it's a bad thing, because that was a part of my life. I just don't. I don't like being put on that. Like I've never understood the whole thing of signing an autograph. I thought that was always the dumbest thing in the world. Mike Tyson. I love Mike Tyson. He's just a beast.
Yeah.
He's always been my sports guy. I love watching him in the 80s, and just brutal. just a dedication, blah, blah, blah. He could walk in here right now and be like, can I just shake your hand?
Yeah.
You don't want to get his autograph? Well, no. You can give me a glove. That'd be awesome. I want you to sign. Don't mess it up by signing it.
Yeah.
I've never understood that stuff. I don't like like if somebody goes somewhere, I remember like an iRacing or whatever, I block all my stuff because I don't want, people, I'm a huge fan of your dad, and I appreciate all that stuff, and I really do, but at the same time, that's never been me. I don't feel comfortable in that skin.
Yeah.
But now that I can be me, and I'm 46 years old, there's a difference. Back then, you was in your late 20s and 30s and full of piss and vinegar, and then, you were just at it. And now, like I said, not that they are, but if NASCAR was to call me today and be like, where do you think we lost touch? Well, I can tell you where you lost touch. And I wouldn't care what they say.
Yeah.
I stay in Facebook jail because of the shit I post. I stay in, I'm on probation now.
Yeah.
So, it's because I don't have to answer to nobody. If you don't like it, what are you going to do? Ban me for something? What are you going to do? Fire me? You can't. So it's easier for me now to be me than it was then.